Good afternoon. Today is May 1st, 2023. This is Flosstube number 33, and I've had zero focus this past month. Where I normally will stitch for 5 days to a week on a project, I was lucky if I could make it 2 to 3 days. So I kept starting and pulling out new things, trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to stitch on. Finally figured it out partway through the month, but until then, there were a lot of things that came out. If I seem discombobulated, it's because I was up bright and early this morning. I got a phone call last night. My granddaughter had double ear infections, and mom and dad had work. They couldn't take her to the doctor till afternoon. So she was here all morning with me, didn't feel good. She was resting. She just went home, and now I'm here with you. And before we get into this pile, let me tell you about this. So this is the Modern Folk Embroidery Salve. This was, I believe, 2020 or 2021. This was the 4 seasons. I stitched it as it was called for, except for the winter. There was a church. Okay, wait. Okay, so over here, the winter, there was, I can't do this. There was a church right up there. And I didn't want the church on mine, so I replaced the church with a tree. I stitched this all in one color using Threadworks. The number is 11382. And this is the color that I stitched it with. So these are still a couple skeins I have left. I'm looking for a project. I think I have one. I have one in mind that I can use this for. So I have so much in front of me, we're going to have to put things back there when I'm done. Okay, let's get started with the whips. All right, the first one, and boy is it wrinkled, is October by Paula Vaughan. This is what it will look like. And here's where it is. So this month I worked on that quilt. So I just came down and started putting that quilt in. And here's where it was last time you saw it. So not a whole lot of progress, but a little bit. This has come a far way from where it was the beginning of the year. Okay, so that's all that I did on bonus stitching. So my next project that I picked up was supposed to be my random piece for the month, because I have focus pieces and then I'll throw a piece in just to touch it so that none of my projects languish and don't see any progress. So this is One for Sorrow. The artwork is by Stephanie PUi-Mun Law. This is charted by Heaven Earth Designs. This is I don't think there's a mini for this. This is just a regular size. I'm stitching this on a 20 count even weave. And there's where I got to. So here's where it was last time you saw it. And so you see I did a little bit more filling in up here, and then I came down. I was getting really tired of those colors. They're just so pale that I wanted to work on the bird, on the beak and the head there. So that one there, I've got tons of notes because otherwise I would lose my mind today. So I ended up getting 3 days on that. It was quite the struggle. I was just bored with that background. So I worked 2 days, put it down, picked up something else. Really wanted to get my 3rd day in. Went back, did the 3rd day, but this one was a real struggle. And this is when I knew I was having a very unpredictable month. And so that's now it's 6.06%. So we'll show it to you one more time. And that's where that is. Okay, so, October is stitched on an 18 count Picture This Plus fabric called, it's upside down, called Barnwood. So that's that one. Okay, so that's that. So the next one I picked up was all because of Nina. Nina's channel is Nina Hobby Site. She was talking about a project that she does now. It's called Oldest Whip Wednesday. And since I had no focus on One for Sorrow, I picked this up. This is my oldest piece. This is by Soda Stitch. It will look like this. I dyed this fabric myself. This is a 16 count Aida that I just lightly dipped in blue to give it the effect of clouds. And here it is now. And I'm not going to be able to see. So here it is now. And what I did is I added all the black to get this part of the building in, filled in some colors that were missing here, and then went back down and started picking colors at the top and working my way down. So I'll bring that in closer so you can see all of that. So that's where that is now. So I'm now at 20.83%, which I started this in 2019, but then I put it away because I couldn't work from the paper chart. I finally figured out a way to get it in Pattern Keeper and work on it. So now I'm just picking it up from time to time. So the next one was Strength, and this is one of my newest starts. And this is, the artwork is by Nicolee Payne. It's charted by UnconventionalXStitch. I'm stitching this on 18 count, very light pewter. This is a Zweigart fabric. And so here's what it will look like and where it was last time. And there's where it is now. So I filled it a little bit more of the black in, but then I came down here and started filling in, picking colors and filling in her headscarf. So I love how that's looking on the camera. So this one now is at 5.1%, and I did get my 3 days in on this, and I increased this by a total of 2%. It was at 3.1%, it's now at 5.1. Okay, so the next one I picked up was Rainbow Feather Unicorn. I've had a struggle with this one from the beginning. So this was not a piece that a chart that I originally bought for me. I bought this for my granddaughters who loved unicorns. But then they saw another chart and asked me to do that one instead. So since I had this, I thought, I'll start it and stitch it for me. I like unicorns. I like horses. Once I started with it, the background just seemed so much darker, and there didn't seem to be as much detail in the unicorn's horn. Now, when I expand the chart, the mock-up in Pattern Keeper, it looks just like this. But so I kept going, and I thought, well, if I put in the feather, actually the feather looks much better here. Maybe I'll like the feather, but you can see the detailing is not really there for the horn. The colors are off on the ear. There was a lot, it looks very, very white on the chart, and that's not white. And then the colors in the feather they're just off. I don't know if it's my screen, and therefore I'm getting a different color. If these colors just aren't translating well, I don't know what it is. But as you can see, I cut the fabric off and I decided I'm done. So I UFO'd this. I'm not in love with it, and I have pieces that I love a lot more for me, for my design, my aesthetic around my home, and that's just not it. So the next one I picked up was Midsummer's Eve. The artwork is by Jennifer Taylor. It's charted by Contemporary Cross. And I'm now at 3.31%. And there's where that is. So this is what it'll look like when it's finished, and where it was last time you saw it. Let me bring this in so you can see better. Look at all those colors. They're starting, you can see, like, especially up in here, all those different other darker colors coming in. Page 1 is done, so page 1 ends like here. I have a couple stitches to do here, so you can see I'm working on page 2. So I can't wait for that one to become further along. Again, 3 days, and I was done. I didn't want to stitch. So I figured it's either the weather, it's the move, it's the unpacking and the being unsettled in a new place. I shouldn't say I'm unsettled in a new place. It's just there's still things that I'm trying to figure out where I want them and how I want them to be in here. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have a new start. Maybe that's what I need. I need a new start for the new place. So I went back. Now I did a chart parade this past month. If you missed it, you can go back and catch that. I'll link it down below. And one of the ones that I liked was the D. Morgan Fantail bird. This was charted by WhoopieCat, and you can find her charts on Etsy. She has a whole grouping of these mythical creatures and birds and such that William D. Morgan did. Now, William D. Morgan was part of the arts and crafts movement. He was also contemporary William Morris, and I believe they collaborated on a project or two. De Morgan actually liked doing these birds and these different animals, we'll say, because he has there's some mythical ones as well. And he turned them into tiles that you would use for surround around your fireplace. Now for me, that would be way too busy, but one tile would be gorgeous. So what I've decided to do with this, here's what it will look like. What I've decided to do with this one is color complete. So I started with the color that had the most stitches, and I finished it. So there's where that is. Now this is 939. And I'm going to go down the list and just start picking whatever the next color is. And let me see if I can bring this in closer for you. So this is looking really, really good. And that was fun. Now I've decided not to stitch the background, which was ecru. And I'm going to let the white fabric just show through for that. But I'm stitching all the other colors, and they're all shades of blue, whether that's the deep darkest, the navy blue of 939, or 415, which is a bluish gray. But they're all shades of blue, which is my color. And this one, because I've marked off the ecru that I'm not stitching that background, excuse me, this is now at 66.51%. So good progress on that one. I was happy with that. Okay, the next one I picked up was Mulan. This is a gift from my granddaughter. This is what she will look like. This is by Anna Cross Stitch or Xana Cross Stitch on Etsy. This one here, I finished a page, and I'm now at 61.67%. So here's Mulan. So I stitched all of this right in through here to finish this. And then this morning while my granddaughter slept, I came in and put in some of this red here and some of this red here. So this is where she's at. And you can see all the characters. For an Etsy shop, the charting on this is amazing. So that one was fun. I actually stuck with that. Once I did the new start and I got the Fantail bird going, then I had my mojo back, if you will. I now could stick with something. So I gave this about 5 days on Mulan. Now Mulan is stitched on an 18 count, just a white Zweigart. And finally, the piece that was supposed to be my focus piece. I had planned to put anywhere from 15 to 20 days in on it. It got 10. Yeah, it got 10. It's now at 74.88%. I only accomplished 6.84% increase in what I did. So not a whole lot, but here is Alice in Snow White. Now I'll take a picture of this entire piece and show it to you in a minute. So first, here's what Alice in Snow White will look like. And here they are now. So last time you saw it, I had some of her sleeve in, and I was filling in here. Then I came up because I was doing that middle column of pages. So it's just over 5 pages across. So this is the third column. So I finished the third column, got her eye in, and started working her face. And then I decided I wasn't ready to see her face done yet. So I came over here and I brought in all of this black for the background. So you can see, look at her eye. And so there's the two girls' faces. Aren't they cute? I just think they're amazing. I love them. So this is the piece that my granddaughters decided they wanted more than the unicorn. So that's what I did there. So that was my monthly stitching. Those were my whips. So now let's get into haul. Now I don't normally have haul, but you know, every now and then. So I needed some floss, and I didn't want to just order floss. So I ordered a chart that I'd been looking at for a long time, and then I picked up some fabrics. Now I like picking up small pieces of different colored fabrics, but I picked this plus because they're less than $5 a piece. And then I know if I like it, if I want to buy a bigger piece for a project, but that gives me a sample, and then I can use it on smalls. So the chart that I picked up is by Carriage House Samplings, and this is Reindeer Feed Sack. And I don't want to stitch on that fabric though. That fabric's not quite me. So one of the pieces that I purchased is this Haunted by Picture This Plus. This is 18 count. Yeah, that's really accurate. So that's what I'm going to stitch it on. And then the reds and the whites will pop on this. And then what I want to do with this is turn this into a bag that I can put candy canes and stuff in for the grandchildren when they come over during the holidays for Christmas. So that was the only chart that I bought. I'm not going to show you the floss. It was just a few threads that I was out of that I needed to replace. So the other fabrics that I bought, the first one is Herald. And all of these are 18 count. And there's Herald. And let me show you the difference here. So Herald is this one here, and Haunted is this one over here. So you can see one is much more much more greener, much green. I told you I've been up since really early. So it is more green. So there's that. The next one that I picked up was, they split the name, so you have the first letter of the fabric name on one line and the rest of it on the other one. Let me show you if you can see this. So I don't know if you can, if the camera will focus. Anyway, this is Earthen. That's why I'm looking at it. This one, they actually sent me, yeah, this is 18 count. And there's Earthen. So there's, yeah, you can see the modeling better there. So there was that one. And like I said, these are $4.28 or something like that, $4.98 a piece. So they're under $5. This one is called Sterling. And I really like that color. And then I picked up Shale. It's a little darker. It's showing up a little brighter in the lighting in here. So this is more of a picture, more of a purplish brown. Maybe if I fold it now. Well, that's a little bit better. So that one's Shale. Then I picked up Jade. And again, I think this is a little bit darker than what it's showing. It has been raining and hailing and windy, and all of a sudden, now that I'm doing this, the sun is out and it's changing the color of the fabrics. Yeah, that's pretty close. And the last one is Mystic. And it has some modeling, but it's just really dark blue. So that's what I bought. That was my haul. So before we go into Mania, I wanted to talk about, first, I was watching Stitching Moon, and Megan, I know I got to get back and comment. I watch on my TV, and then I have to go to my phone if I want to leave a comment, and I'll watch a few videos, and then I forget what I want to say, so then I've got to think. So anyway, Megan, I saw your video. Thanks for shouting me out. She was really excited to see that I was stitching her chart, Stone Expression, which this is Stone Expression. And so Megan, I love it. It's gorgeous, and I'm having a blast. I can't wait to get back to it, but not in May. And the other one I want to talk about is, actually, before we go to that, let me show you, Megan has a few other charts that I like. She has some landscapes, and one is called Dawn in the Valley, which, yeah, one of these days I have to stitch this one, and that's this. The other one you might have seen, a few people are stitching it. This is called Beautiful Simplicity. If I can talk, Simplicity. But the other one that I really want to stitch is by the same artist as Stone Expression, and this is called Fearless. And this is by Giuseppe Macconi, which is an Italian artist that lives where she lives in Norway. So she's met him, and he gave her permission to chart his stuff. So those are the three that I would really like to stitch that Megan has. The other one I want to talk to you about is Darling Bluebell, which is Mika. I was really excited. She doesn't do videos very often, but she had a really good one this time, and she was talking about her mania plans. She also did what she calls a TED Talk at the end, which was about half her actual Flosstube and half this TED Talk. I found it extremely interesting. I'm not real tech savvy. I know very little about the tech stuff, and this is her field. She works in AI, and so she wanted to talk about AI generated art. And the reason that I think the reason that she decided she wanted to talk about it, because she mentioned it, was she had looked at Artisy and she realized they were using AI art that they were charting. So she wanted to explain to us what that is, how it works, how it might be a copyright issue if you have a problem with it, and just so we know what's going on. And I found it so interesting. She talked about how AI grabs the images, and I can't do it justice. It's not my field. Go check out Mika. Go see her new video and watch it yourself. So if you have issues with copyright and you want to make sure artists get what they're due, listen to her. She'll tell you how to avoid getting anything that is copyright problems. Okay, so now we get into May and Mania. Mania. You know, I when I heard about Mania, it was a couple years ago. It was in 2020, I believe. And I thought, oh, no, I can't do this. There's no way that I can do 20 starts in a month. I don't want 20 smalls, and I surely don't want 20 full coverage. I could probably start 20 more, but it would just overwhelm me. So I thought, okay, not doing it. When 2021 came around, I thought, but I want to do it. I want to do something. So I thought, what can I do? What does Mania mean for me? And for me, Mania would mean a challenge. If you look at the mental health side of it, which people are trying to get away from the word mania because of it, although it's spelled differently. If you have a mental health challenge, it is a challenge. It is hard to get through the days when you're swinging up and down. So I wanted to do my mania as a challenge, something hard, something outside my comfort zone. So the first year I said, okay, let's see if I have a full coverage I can finish. And I did. So let me see if I can pick this up without dinging it. So the first year I pulled out an Artisy piece that I had started. And this is artwork by Carla Gerard. I don't know if I can get this all. Yeah, kind of. Well, okay, there we go. And I finished that. So once I finished it, I still had some time left, and I pulled out a smaller chart and I started and finished that. I don't want to ding this. Okay, I didn't want that to be loud. And that was called Little Panda, and I don't believe it. The last time I looked, it was not available on Etsy. But this is Little Panda. I did this for my granddaughter and gave it to her because she was really into pandas. So those two were what I did on my very first attempt at Mania. My second attempt at Mania was last year. And again, I had a full coverage I thought I could finish. It was my new start for the year for 2022. But then we had such a lousy winter that this made me think of summer. And I just kept pulling it out and pulling it out. And May came and I was like, I think I can finish this. So this is Blue Daisy. The artwork is by Joe Lynch. This is charted by Heaven Earth Designs. And this is what I finished in 2022. And then I still had time left. And I thought, okay, I don't like to stitch something for just one day. I like to see real progress. So this would be a challenge for me to stitch on something one day. So I pulled out everything else that I had and I gave it one day, which meant in June you got a whip parade. So this year I'm thinking, okay, what do I have? What could I do? Prior to my move, I thought that I would have Alice and Snow White closer and it might be possible to push through and finish Alice and Snow White in May. That didn't happen. The move came, Alice and Snow White was big. I didn't want something big while I was packing and getting ready to move. Excuse me. So that won't be it. But what I've decided I can do is I have 2 pieces I can finish. But I will tell you why this is going to be such a challenge. So the first one is my fantail bird. So I'm going, my voice, I'm sorry. So I'm going to continue working on this color by color, color completing from the color that has the most stitches to the least. And then the next one I'm going to finish, is Mulan. So Mulan, I think, comes down to about here. So I still have this whole section to do. Yeah, I'm nuts. So just to tell you why I'm nuts, Mulan has 24,151 stitches left to complete. The Fantail bird, I've already marked off the background, the ecru that I'm not stitching, as 8,574 stitches left to complete. That gives me a total of 32,725 stitches that I think I can complete in the month of May. Now, I've already started today a little bit while my granddaughter was sleeping, and I have about 177 stitches in Vaughan. We're now at about 2, 3 in the afternoon, somewhere, I don't know, my clock is on my phone. I also have something I have to do this evening that I won't be around, so getting 1,000 stitches in today is going to be darn near impossible. We also have Mother's Day coming up here in 2 weeks, and usually family, we get together for Mother's Day. I can, on average, stitch 1,000 stitches a day if I don't have a lot of confetti. Now, I don't know about the lettering where, see, here's Mulan. I don't know where the lettering is, if there's going to be confetti, but the background, her dress, the sword, there's not a lot of confetti. So I should be able to power through that pretty quickly. And the Fantail bird, of course, there's not a lot to it. There will be days, like I say, 1,000 is something I can easily do on a day that I'm around and I'm not out and about. We'll see. So this is going to be the biggest challenge I've given myself. I highly doubt I will have any extra time at the end of the month. Should I have any extra time, I'm going to treat myself, and whatever I'm feeling is what I'm going to stitch. So that's it. If you're doing Mania, please tell me down below what you're doing. Give me ideas for next year, because I know I'm not going to have a piece that I can finish in May. I have all my full coverages. There are none that are going to be close enough that I can do this again next year. So I will need a new suggestion. So please help me out. Put some ideas down below for me. And that said, that's all I have for you for cross stitch. But I was asked to do a short video on the differences in a kitchen for somebody who's in a wheelchair. So I'm going to add that on to the end. If you're not interested, you can just leave now. I thank you for being here, and I hope I will see you again real soon. I will be back with the regular Flosstube on June 1st. Those of you who want to see the kitchen, I'll be right back with that. Thanks. So here's a view from my living room into my kitchen. And I'll move into the kitchen here and show you little by little what I have going here. So first we'll start over here on this side. You can see my stove has the controls right on the front. No longer do I have to reach up on the back across the hot stove to try to turn on and off my burners. Now, this building was built 50 years ago, so there are some things that are not quite up to code for today. But I wanted to point out here the light switch. All light switches are lowered in an apartment for a wheelchair user because not everyone can lift their arms up high to reach a switch. Now, where this is not up to code for me is, see that light, that outlet behind the stove? Well, unless I pull myself up to a standing position, there is no way that I'm reaching that. Okay, now the upper cabinet, oops, sorry about that. I hope I didn't make you sick. The upper cabinets, let's see if I can, you can see they've lowered them from the ceiling so that there's something that you can reach. And then the sink, don't mind my sink. My granddaughter and I had tea and stuff this morning. So the sink is a single sink. It would be preferable to have a double sink because when you are dealing with dishes and you've got your hands in water, to lift the dishes up to the strainer on the counter, you will oftentimes find that you have water running down your arm. So if you have the ability, go ahead and have a double sink. Now I want to point out these cabinets down here. So these cabinets here would normally, well, let me show you this one. This cabinet here would have had a drawer at the top. And what they did is they cut the drawer off and then they went down below and they added a, maybe you can see there, they added a double height kick plate. And that brings the cabinets up from the floor so that you aren't reaching down low to get what you need to get. Now, the better option is to actually, so you can see I still have to reach in there, but because it's a little bit higher, it's not quite as bad. The better option would have been to have had drawers, which is something I did in the house. This cabinet here, let me see if I can back up. I don't want to turn this camera so that it's tall. You can see what they did is they took a tall pantry and they cut a whole section off to give me a pantry. So what I've done here, this is just easier to access than the cabinets. So I have my spices up there, my dishes, bowls, tea bags, glass, mugs, that kind of thing. And then down below, I use as my pantry, and I like to keep most of my staples in glass jars. And then we have another cabinet over here, and again what they did is they just cut off the drawer, and that way your cabinet is higher. That way your cabinet isn't as close to the floor. Again, there should be an outlet, if I can get my finger over here, there should be an outlet closer to this pantry instead of on the back wall. But, you know, I can still deal with it. I'm able to reach. Another thing that people are doing now, let's see, the faucet, you now can put the faucet on the side instead of in the back. That's not, again, like I said, this was built 50 years ago, so they aren't. But yeah, that is something else you can do. Over here, you can see I have a tabletop oven. That was a gift for my children because if I have a heavy tray, let's say I'm making a pan of lasagna. For me, that's heavy, and it's very hard for me to lift it out of this oven to reach up and set it down. And so for this, it's easier for me to just take it out and set it to the side rather than trying to lift something up and get close to the stove to set it down. So now again, we have an apartment-sized fridge. That way you can still reach it. These right here, we've got a garbage chute, so I don't have to have garbage in my house on a regular basis. So I picked those up. They're a little small, but one is for recycling and one is for trash. And that's my kitchen. That's pretty much all there is. I will show you one other thing. Okay, so now I've moved into the bathroom, and what I wanted to show you, I'm not sure if I'm getting a good, this is the tub. Now there are a couple ways to do a tub. One is to have a roll-in tub, which is what I thought I was getting. Only certain apartments have those. And this one, the tub, it has this cutout so that you don't have to lift your legs up and over the side of the tub. So that's another way to do a bathroom. And that's about it then, guys. That's the main changes that are in my apartment to make it accessible for me.